You know what the #1 job of somebody that sold their soul in Hollywood is?
What?
Is to act like it didn't happen.
I said, who is that guy? So he called Cassidy and he said, well, they kind of like lovers. I'm like, that's not gonna work out. I'm not homophobic, but I have boundaries for me as a person.
And I see that they put every black man in the movies in a dress at some point in their career. I'll be connecting them down like, wow, these brothers gotta wear a dress. That's happened to me.
Is that something that, you know, you wouldn't do, you know, for
definitely haven't ran into to put on the dress. I mean, you know, you have to have boundaries.
And from the looks of it, the new pope is not Turkson. The new pope is 9-year-old Oscar nominee Kavenjane Wallace.
You've heard the whispers for years, the rumors that dance around Hollywood's edges like shadows at midnight, stories of careers built on something darker than talent, of success that comes with invisible chains, of rituals that strip away everything you thought you knew about Hollywood celebrities. Tonight we connect the dots everyone's afraid to acknowledge. There's something unsettling about Hollywood success stories that happen too fast, careers that explode overnight without explanation. But what if I told you that behind many of these meteoric rises, there's a pattern, a transaction that has nothing to do with talent and everything to do with surrender? Clifton Powell represents something rare in Hollywood, an actor who actually meant it when he said he had boundaries, while others whisper about the price of success. Powell lived the consequences of refusing to pay it.
Judging from my resume, I haven't turned down much. The thing that I want people to understand is a lot of the smaller movies that you see me in probably was a friend of mine or a producer who hired me when I had no money, or they come highly recommended. I've been offered some different types of roles that I didn't take. I did a TV series where they wanted me to play the neighborhood coon, and I walked off of that. But most of the time when I read a script, if I like it, I do it, you know? I don't let when you get to a certain level, when you get to my level and above, your agents kind of tell you what to do. And I don't let anybody tell me what to do. I've worked my ass off, and I do what I want to do. Sometimes, like, say for instance, I'm going to speak on this movie because I caught a lot of flack for doing this movie, Women That Aren't Loosed. Now, how I got that role, and please, everybody that's listening, understand, I never read that script. Reuben Cannon, who put me in Selma, Lord Selma, he put me in Buffalo Soldiers, and he put me in Why Do Fools Fall in Love. He called me on a Thursday and said, hey, Cliff, I need you tomorrow for this role. My main actor dropped out. I need you. And I came in because that's one of my partners. And he hired me when I had nothing. He saw the talent. And so when I read the script, when I got to the set, and when I read the part about the little girl, I made them restructure that. I said, I don't think it's necessary for me to have to touch that little girl. Let's just close the door and we hear, you know, maybe hear scream or something. I'm not doing that. Now, on the flip side, I wouldn't have taken that role if I read the script because I have a daughter and I know how that is perceived. But after we did the movie, we went around to a lot of places and had panel discussions to help women who have been physically, mentally, and spiritually. So something good came out of that, but that's not a role I would have picked for myself.
So they wanted you to play a neighborhood coon? Tell me more about that.
It was a TV series. It's a TV series called Simon on the WB. I think it was the WB network. I can't remember. But the week before the show came out, they were scanning all the new shows. And in the Ebony Junior magazine, they said Clifton Powell starring as the neighborhood coon in a new TV show called Simon. And so when I got there and they wanted me to do some coonish type things, I said I wasn't going to do it. So I met with the big white guy who ran the show and had about 7 shows on. And he basically said, I bet you will do this. He said, I bet you would do this movie if it was a William Friedkin film. Now, if anybody want to know who William Friedkin is, he directed The Exorcist. So basically he said, I bet you would do this role if it was a William Friedkin movie. I said, I bet you I would.
If you're enjoying this story, kindly do us a favor and subscribe to our channel. It is free and won't cost anything, but it means the world to us. We're just a small channel trying to grow. Thank you, and back to the video.
Powell's story hits different when you understand the pressure he was under. Thrown into a role when the original actor bailed, no time to read the script, then discovering scenes designed to degrade him. His response wasn't diplomatic, it was immediate resistance. He demanded changes rather than submit to portraying himself in ways that would define his character forever. But the real test came with bigger stakes.
I got auditioned maybe a year ago for Mr. Black. I don't think he read the script. So I read the script and I called him. I said, this guy that's the gangster, he has this guy named Raphael or somebody hanging around the bar all the time. I said, who is that guy? So he called casting and he said, well, they kind of like lovers. I'm like, that's not gonna work out. I'm not homophobic. I've gotten a lot of flack for saying something in the heat of the moment. I'm not homophobic, but I have no problems with transgender people or gay people. I don't care what color they are. I have no problems with, you know, I'm not so racist or any of that. But I have boundaries for me as a person, which makes me uncomfortable or comfortable that I just don't cross. You know, and it's not militant. It's just that certain things I'm just not comfortable with. I'm a man. I'm not comfortable with kissing a man, whether I got to do it for a role. And I commend actors who can handle that inside of their psyche. I'm not wired that way. I've never seen a gay gangster, but I'm sure they have been. You know, there was a guy out of DC named Wayne Perry who was a gangster, biggest killer in DC. I just read about him. I wouldn't play him because there's a scene where one guy walks in and sees him with a man, you know, and I'm not doing that. But they may come and say, man, but you know, we needed a guy that's rough and tough and can play those rough and tough roles. I'm like, I'm not doing that. That's just me, you know? So I don't necessarily, when I read something I don't like it, I don't give it a second thought. Just I'm not doing it.
A major film role with a massive payday. Powell himself mentions the potential millions involved. Money that could change your life and secure your future. And Powell walked away because the role required him to cross lines he refused to cross. While other actors became megastars by bending, Powell remained what he calls hand-to-mouth by standing firm.
Because I never came to Hollywood to be a star. I didn't have any plans to be in Hollywood. So nobody's gonna force me to do anything. Nobody's gonna dangle money in front of me to make me do anything. I'm my own person because it wasn't my passion. But also the way I was raised. You know, I grew up in the 60s in the middle of, you know, the civil rights movement and with, you know, teachers who were black militants and who were revolutionaries, and they instilled in me a certain level of pride. And, you know, and that doesn't deter me. That doesn't make me better than anyone else. It's just that I have a standard for myself that you can't force me to do anything, whether it's, you know, paying me $50 billion a day. It's just not gonna work.
Powell's declaration reveals everything. He didn't come to Hollywood to become a star. He came with pride and principles intact, and no amount of money, not even hypothetically $50 billion a day, could make him compromise those beliefs. Powell's career limitations weren't due to lack of talent. They were the direct result of maintaining his integrity in a system that rewards submission and punishes resistance. Powell's individual resistance becomes even more remarkable when you understand the systematic machinery designed to break down actors and force compliance with Hollywood's most degrading demands. The casting couch isn't just about it's about psychological warfare. It's about identifying vulnerabilities and exploiting them until resistance becomes impossible.
I used to work at the swap meet. I used to work at Covenant House. I used to do clerical work. I used to do phone sales. I just never quit, okay? So when we talk about adversity, if this is your passion, don't quit.
So your way up the top is all right then. Get to that.
No, I'm not making. Listen, because I want to clean that adversity thing up because it's very important about what choices people make to think they're gonna make it, which rolls into your way to the top. Okay. It's no such thing as your way to the top.
Really?
Yeah. If you don't,
Madonna.
If you don't have any talent, at some point you're gonna hit a wall. There's an article, and I can't think of the white girl's name, but she slept with all the heads of the couple of heads.
Marilyn Monroe?
No, not Marilyn Monroe. But no. This is a true story. And she was dealing with some of the big executives. And what happened was they promised her all this, but because of the chain of command, they couldn't just come in and say, I know this Pierre's show, but yo, she finna be a star. They were like, hold on, man, wait a minute. You can't just do that as an exec and call the network and say, yo, old girl about to be a star. So she's suing all the head of those guys because she thought she could go right to the top.
But some people have their way to the top. Come on, Clifton, we have to family here, bro.
I'm just being real with you.
I am too.
I believe that there's no such thing as your way to the top. Now, can you position yourself to move in a different way? No, I think, no, listen what I'm saying. Because this is what I teach. And I get female students who, like my girl's gorgeous. You're gonna hit a wall where you're gonna get challenged.
Powell exposes the dirty secret behind Hollywood's shortcuts. Sleeping your way to the top doesn't just compromise your dignity, it gives the industry permanent ammunition against you. Intimate favors might open doors, but they also create scandals that can be weaponized for control. You become property, not a person.
If you're enjoying this story, kindly do us a favor and subscribe to our channel. It is free and won't cost anything, but it means the world to us. We're just a small channel trying to grow. Thank you, and back to the video.
When you're struggling and then you finally make it, and some of your people that got their people, you got to go in, man, and go in and get 10,000 for 2 days, or I get 10,000 a day. That's good money. And I'm not Denzel Washington. I still make a lot of money, but I'm not Denzel Washington. I made it to the middle. The middle is a great place to be, but to make it to the top, is a whole lot of other stuff that I'm not going to discuss on here. It comes with that I'm not willing to do. So I'm healthy, happy and healthy in the middle. If I don't leave my house, I'll make 150,000 just from my pension, my wealth, my residuals, and my Social Security. So I'm good. I made it. I'm not bragging. I'm blessed. But I have a guy named Keith Neal that's in the middle, and he handles all the independent stuff. I never want to get to a place where my people can't reach me. So I keep him in the middle. And then some stuff my agent brings, sometimes stuff my manager brings. I pay sometimes out 30%. My manager gets something, Keith will get something, or my agent will get something. I move, and I have so many relationships. I made it to the middle. The top is another whole set of stuff that you got to deal with on every level that I'm not willing to do. So, and they don't let strong Kunta Kinte like me get to the top. It just doesn't happen without some compromise, and I'm not willing to do that.
Here's how the system traps struggling actors. When you're desperate, they pressure you into compromising roles for money. But Powell found an escape route, developing his own relationships to get roles, avoiding agents who might play double games and force actors into brand-damaging situations.
Whatever your preference is, I don't really care, but I don't think you can block people. I think the problem with the casting couch is that if you don't do it, you ain't gonna do the role. I think that's really horrible to put on someone. Like, come in my office and have with me, and then I'll give you the role. If you come in casting and you get the role on your own merit, and you run into me at a restaurant and you wanna go out, and if I'm not married or I'm whatever, and I'm available, I think that can work. That works all the time in this business. But for me to say to you, as a beautiful female, if you don't have to me on this couch right here, you ain't getting the role. And I think that's wrong. And I'm gonna always say it's wrong. I know I'm gonna get a lot of feedback out there, but I'm just telling you the truth. Anybody that blocks you from something to try to force you into making a decision because you need money or you want to be famous, I just think that's wrong.
Powell's moral clarity cuts through Hollywood's twisted rationalizations. Forcing someone into intimate acts to get roles by exploiting their weaknesses is fundamentally wrong. Period. No justifications, no industry customs. No, that's just how business works.
I just got my first residual check. It was more than 25,000. So Will Packer put me in that movie. Will Packer called me again. I'm going to work with Will Packer. If my agents don't like it, I'm still going to do it. So people don't understand the inner workings of this business. When you with APA and above, they're ready for you to cross over. That's why Motown crossed Diana and all of them. First they was at the Apollo, then you got them at the big white clubs because they try to cross you over.
Powell's philosophy is bulletproof. He stands on what's right regardless of consequences. When people tried to set him up, he recognized the traps and refused to fall into them. The actors who achieve the biggest success are often those most willing to surrender their personal boundaries. Powell's career trajectory proves that maintaining integrity in Hollywood comes with a financial cost, but selling your soul comes with a cost that money can never heal. Now we reach the heart of Hollywood's most twisted ceremony. What looks like comedy on the surface reveals itself as something far more sinister when you examine the pattern. This isn't about entertainment. It's about systematic psychological conquest disguised as artistic expression. Dave Chappelle didn't just observe this phenomenon, he named it and refused to participate. His words should haunt every viewer. When he points out that every black man gets put in a dress at some point, he's not talking about creative freedom. He's exposing deliberate strategy.
I mean, I'm a conspiracy theorist to a degree. Like, when I connect dots that maybe shouldn't be connected, I don't know. But certain dots, like when I see that they put every black man in the movies in a dress at some point in their career, I'll be connecting them. They're like, wow, these brothers gotta wear a dress. That's happened to me. I'm doing a movie with Martin.
Yeah.
The movie's going good. So I walk in the trailer. I'm like, man, this must be the wrong trailer because there's a dress in here. They come in. The writer comes in. I think he's the writer. He's like, Dave, listen, we got this hilarious scene where Martin's sneaking out of jail. So he disguises you as a prostitute. And you put this dress on, and what? The prostitute? Nah, I'm not doing that. I don't feel comfortable with that. That should have been in the discussion. What? You don't feel comfortable with it? I mean, it's a hilarious bit. All the greats have done it. So, well, if all the greats have done it, it's kind of hacky, right? You're right. So why don't we just not do it? Because I don't feel comfortable wearing a dress. Oh, come on, Dave. Listen, we got it all set up. We're supposed to shoot. Every minute you waste costs this much money. You know, the pressure comes in. Huh. He said, I'm not wearing no dress, man. I'm funnier than a dress. Just give me something funny to say. I don't need to wear no dress to be funny. What am I, Milton Berle? You know, we're going like this. And then finally he's like, and he leaves. And then like the director comes, Dave, it really would be great if you wear the dress. What is wrong? What is this, Brokeback Mountain in here? So then, wear the dress. I don't want to wear the dress. I want to wear this dress. You know what I mean? This is, oh gosh, it's so difficult. They leave. Now the producers comes, come on, David, would be so great. I mean, and then I started thinking about it. All the comments that I've seen, man, you know, strong brothers, why they be putting us in these dresses? But the minute it was clear, I was adamant, I'm not wearing a dress. I'm not wearing the dress. All right, fine. Think of something else. That comes back 10 minutes later. The whole new scene. Damn, how did you write the scene so fast? You know, it's like, so you gotta take a step.
Chappelle exposes the dress wearing as Hollywood's coordinated tactic, a systematic approach to cornering and breaking resistance. Notice how he gets labeled a conspiracy theorist for revealing this pattern. That's the industry's defense mechanism activating to protect the ritual from exposure. But what happens when you resist the ceremony? What's the cost of saying no to Hollywood's initiation?
You disappeared for a while. People were saying, where's Dave? Where's Dave Chappelle? Where's he going? And then it turns out you took a trip to Africa. Is that true?
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
It wasn't like they said.
Right.
It was
because
like,
the stories were, I mean, the stories, as you know, you're hearing all kinds of stuff on the news.
It was crazy, man. I mean, first I went to Africa to chill, and I tell you, you hear a lot of black people say this, like when you go to Africa, especially your first time, you have this overwhelming feeling like you're home, which is true. I had that feeling like, man, this feels like home. I think I felt that way because there's a McDonald's in the airport. So I got my Big Mac. But then it was like, it just got out of control. Like I was in Africa, and next thing I started hearing all the stories like comedian Dave Chappelle's in a mental institution in South Africa. And I was like, man, I must be losing my mind.
Yeah.
Because I thought this was the beach. Yeah. Everybody calls me crazy. You know, I mean, it was just...
You're hearing on the news things like he's gone crazy, which that didn't sound right, you know?
Well, you know, maybe I know stuff people don't want me to talk about, so we're going to what other people believe, so they'll call me crazy. But it was a weird thing to get called crazy. At first it was scary, and then now I feel like it's liberating. Like, I feel free, like I can just say what I want to do. They already call me crazy. I can't hold myself accountable for these things. I'm crazy. I can't
it's not your fault. Yeah.
Couldn't control myself.
Chappelle walked away from $50 million and went to Africa to escape the pressure. Society's immediate reaction. He was labeled mentally unstable for refusing to wear women's clothing. The message was crystal clear. Resistance to ritual humiliation will be reframed as insanity, making submission appear rational. The systematic nature of the dress-wearing requirement proves this isn't about individual creative choices. It's about industry-wide conditioning designed to ensure only submissive personalities achieve mainstream success. Kevin Hart's journey represents the perfect case study in how Hollywood's pressure eventually breaks even the most vocal resistors. His transformation from boundary-setting defiant to compliant performer shows exactly how the system operates.
Is that something that, you know, you wouldn't do, you know, for...
I definitely haven't ran into to put on the dress. I mean, you know, you have to have boundaries. You have to have limits that you refuse to cross. You know, for me, I know what they are. They've yet to been challenged, so, you know, I don't have to speak on them. I was asked to dribble a basketball on a talk show this morning. I said no to that. Not that that was a dress, but I was like, no, I'm gonna look stupid. You know, at the end of the day, you gotta know that you're a brand. I'm a brand. you need to protect your brand at all times. When things happen that can possibly affect your brand, your brand can be diminished, and you don't want that to happen. So, protecting my brand is definitely a priority.
Hart's original stance was uncompromising. He would never wear a dress regardless of money offered, claiming he wanted to protect his brand at all costs. This wasn't casual conversation. This was a man drawing a line and permanent marker, but the pressure never stops. The system keeps applying force until resistance becomes impossible.
You know what? I was actually one of those comedians that said, no, I wouldn't wear a dress. There's no way I would wear a dress. And then when proposed with the opportunity of what I felt was funny, I thought, oh, it's funny, I'm gonna do it. Oh, Kwanzaa is relevant. Yeah, that's funny. She's small. I can do the whole thing. It'll be funny. I think now, knowing about the opportunities that can be thrown at you, it's all about choice. Nobody makes you do anything. Nobody says this is what you got to do. This is the only way that you're going to do it. Nobody made Martin put on the dress in Big Mama's house. Nobody made Tyler Perry put on the dress as Medea. Nobody made Jamie Foxx put on the dress as Wanda. And nobody made Martin do it as Shanae. It was a choice. And on Saturday Night Live, it was a choice that I made. So I think it's all about your pick of what's funny to you and what you feel would be funny to others. And I will say that's the knowledge that I now have and understand. But from the outside looking in, you always go, oh, I ain't gonna do it. Ain't no way. Why? Why I gotta do it? I ain't gonna compromise myself. For what? I am who I am. But then you're in a movie, and then it calls for a funny scene. Hey, what if you went in this way? And it was actually funny. It's funny. So at the end of the day, I think funny is funny. You can't put rules and regulations.
Listen to Hart's rationalization after he wore the dress on SNL. It was funny. No one forced him. No one forces anyone to wear dresses. This isn't conviction. This is Stockholm Syndrome in action. The victim defending the system that broke them. Hart's journey from resistance to compliance to rationalization demonstrates the three-stage psychological conquest process: defiance, submission, and finally defending the system that destroyed your original principles. Hart's career explosion after wearing the dress proves the reward system works exactly as designed. Comply with the humiliation ritual, receive massive advancement, resist like Clifton Powell or Dave Chappelle, and remain talented but limited. As the curtain falls on Hollywood's hidden rituals, we're left confronting uncomfortable truths about the price of fame and the machinery of control. Clifton Powell's resistance, Dave Chappelle's escape, and Kevin Hart's transformation reveal a system that demands more than talent. It requires the surrender of identity itself. The dress isn't just fabric, it's a flag of submission, and those who wave it are rewarded with riches beyond imagination. But here are the questions that matter. Is any amount of success worth sacrificing your soul? And in a system that rewards humiliation over humanity, who are the real winners? Those who conform or those who walk away? If you like this video, hit that subscribe button so that you never miss out on any new videos. And until then, fam, keep it real.